Good mythical morning. It's me and CJ together. We are here to give you the news and the weather because that is our new format. CJ, would you read off the weather for the continent of the United States?
It's going to be damn cold in your neck of the woods, V.
Unless of course, if you're in California, then it's going to be really hot for some reason.
Yeah, melting hot.
Melting hot. It's a tough year to be a libtard, man. It really is. Their environmental policies are falling apart and blowing up in their face. Literally blowing up in their face. And I pray for the loss of life, and I feel terrible for the tremendous loss of life in California because of terrible mismanagement. But hey, it's crazy. It sucks.
Right. Yeah.
But apart from that, it's a state run by morons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And everywhere else is cold, except for Florida. Florida's really nice right now.
Florida.
Well, folks, that's the weather, and we're out. I'm just kidding. A lot of things to talk about, folks. A lot of things going on. A lot of good stuff. I'm getting pumped up now. Because where do I begin? Well, let's start off with some of our paid sponsors. If I don't say that word, they demonetize. They hit us with stripes and all that other crap if I don't say that. So, yeah, paid sponsors. mycbdedibles.com. Go there, get your CBD fix on. CJ, are we running that coffee special over there? Are they running it?
We are gearing up for the Small Business Saturday, the Cyber Monday, and we're putting together and working with my partners to come up with the best deal to offer. So we're going back and forth a little bit because there's a little bit of disagreement and everything. You know how it is when you're forming these strategies. So
yes,
we want to make sure that we land at the right price, give a great offering. So, but we will be putting something out. Today's Tuesday, so we'll be putting something out probably no later than tomorrow morning.
Nice, good deal. And also check out watchustrade.io. We have more people joining now that you figured that the bloodbath will scare people away. No, those who are enterprising, those who are really enterprising about this are heading over to Watch Us Trade and watchustrade.io, or you can find them at wutwhat.live. Check it out. I mean, need I say more? 2,600% returns year to date. These guys are killer. They're amazing. All you got to do is watch what they do and don't go wandering off on your own. You'll be all right. Okay? Okay, as long as you don't go wandering off on your own, trying to get a little over smart on your own way, you'll be all right. You two will make some really good earnings here. Also, check out RemainCom.net. They got the new funding program up. If you need some funds to get some, your business up and running or whatever it is that you need, Remain Calm is the place to be. And with that said and out of the way, Siege, what's crack-a-lackin', brother?
Hey, doing great, B. Want to welcome all of our listeners from the YouTube channel, and glad to be here. Yeah, it feels like it's been a few days, and lots of exciting things going on as we venture into to the holiday, to Thanksgiving. And it appears today, B, that it'll be interesting to see where the market lands today. It looks like it's a bit of a turmoil as a lot of tech stocks plunged overnight. I think the market's down 500 points out the gate. Some are saying down as much as 2,000, but it looks like it's spilling over a little bit into the crypto market as well right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, cryptos are in bloodbath. I mean, if you folks haven't got a chance to go check out yesterday's program, go check out yesterday's program. We had Z was on. Z's been, in the trenches in the room, holding it down, sleeping very little. If you see, you can actually, when you join the room, you can actually see when Zeke signs on, when Cowboy comes on. It's pretty interesting. I mean, Z was signing off at like 3:52 a.m. and then you see Cowboy come on. I mean, these guys literally don't sleep. So Z was on. We're talking about what was going on. And look, man, you're not going to survive in this market if you're dogmatic. You want to hold on to some BS coin that you think it's going to be worth something because somebody one time said something about it. You don't. You're going to get killed. You're going to get slaughtered. I'm telling you right now because I work in OTC. I do a lot of OTC deals in crypto. Some of which, I'm connected to some very large institutional buyers. both on the East and the West Coast. And let me tell you that the big boys, man, I've never seen price action like this. I mean, there were Bitcoin institutional sellers that were kind of holding on, seeing where the market would go. Some of them got spooked, okay, and they are selling coin on the OTC market. And they're all the big players, you name them. You name them. I'm going to tell you right now, your big players, your big institutional players are very, very, very active in the crypto markets right now. They are buying Bitcoin at a rapid clip. Bitcoin price today is at 4,700. We broached 4,800. We are probably going to hit 4,400 as Dex predicted it. I'm gonna see if I get Dex on this week. It's been just a crazy few weeks over here at Rogue. All the changes that are happening here. We're building up Gadfly. We're redoing the Rogue site, so that's why it looks kind of wonky. We got all these videos and stuff that's up there. But Bitcoin hit is right now current price, according to CoinMarketCap, it's about 47.36. Beat the 4,800. I told everybody we're gonna go to 5,800. Back in May, June, I said we're going to hit the 5,800, probably get dip into the 4,000, maybe 4,800, 4,400. We're there. Dex said it. Cowboy said it. Boom, we're here. It doesn't surprise anybody. If you've been rolling with us, you've been rolling with our crew, none of this is taking you by surprise. But understand one thing, let your heart be troubled. It's not the end of Bitcoin. It's not going to go to zero. There's a lot of institutional money at play. There's only a limited amount of Bitcoin. There's only 21 million Bitcoins that could be produced. I think right now we're at 17 or 19 million that have been done. Don't quote me on that. I know it's like 17 or 19 or 18, something like that. But there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoins ever. So there is a absolute run to get coin right now. And you see the market as well, 2,400. Here's what I predict. Everybody's predicting doom and gloom. Everybody's predicting the end of the world as we know it. World War III and famine, pestilence, and plagues, and the 12 seals being opened, and the return of Jesus Christ himself on Tuesday, next Tuesday at 10:15 a.m. During the V and CJ show. Jesus Christ will return. That's what a lot of people are waiting for. But let not your hearts be troubled or elated, depending on your perspective and where you are in life. None of this will happen. None of this will happen. We're going to have a bloody November and a stabilizing December, getting ready for a moonshot in February. So get ready for that. And that's what all this positioning is about, folks. You're going to see a rapid price return. Just as I said it, has the gorilla ever been wrong, CJ?
The gorilla's never been wrong. And if it's
I've been pretty damn accurate. Dude, I had a third party, I think it was Evolution Consulting years ago, that said I have a 96% accuracy. This was years ago. Okay, and now that I got my head out of the charts and I'm not looking at charts anymore, I'm actually looking at actual real events that are driving this, because everything's event driven. Dude, I've been spot on. I've been spot on with my oil prices. I've been spot on with my crypto prices. I told you gold ain't going nowhere when so many people are out there. Gold's going to go to $10 million an ounce. It's going to happen. No, it's not. It ain't. It ain't. Not yet. Not yet. Siege, go ahead, bro.
No, I was going to say, and rest assured, you picked a good partner. And for our audience, my middle name is Jesus. So, I mean, I think that's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. That's why I roll with Jesus every single morning. Jesus is my homeboy. Literally, he is. He is. Siege, I'm just drinking this delicious reverse osmosis water, man.
Yeah, I'm grabbing some water as well. I've been popping some decongestant lately. I don't like the forced heat that much when winter comes and you have to turn on the.
Isn't that the worst, man? It's like you get up and it's just you're like a mucus machine from the time you get up, or you're dry and parched and you feel dehydrated like the desert,
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. Siege, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. China gold and the dollar, baby. China gold and the dollar. Does China have enough gold to move toward hard currency? This is by Alistair McLeod via the Mises Institute. Let's see what Alistair is saying, and let's pull some golden nuggets out of this, shall we, and put it in perspective. Remember, don't take everybody's word as gospel, including my own. Do your own research and all that other good stuff. Are the Chinese Keynesian? We can reasonably we can be reasonably certain that Chinese government officials approaching middle age have been heavily westernized through their education. Nowhere is more likely to matter more than the fields of finance and economics. In these disciplines, there is perhaps a division between them and the old guard, exemplified and fronted by President Xi. The graybeards who guide the National People's Congress are aging, and their brightest and best of their successors understand economic analysis differently, have been tutored in Western universities. It has not yet been a noticeable problem in the current relatively stable economic and finance environment. Quiet evolution is rarely disruptive of the status quo, and so long as it reflects the changes in society generally, the machinery of government will chug on. But when is it ever the next global credit crisis develops, China's ability to handle it could be badly compromised. This article thinks, though, the next credit crisis from China's point of view, given early signs of the stage of credit cycle in America in the form of growing instability in global financial markets, the timing could be suddenly relevant. China must embrace sound money as her escape route from a disintegrating global fiat monetary system. But to do so, she will have to discard the neo-Keynesian economics of the West, which she has adopted as the mainspring of her own economic advancement. And it's very hard to define China, Siege. You know, China's China. Mm-hmm. And I don't think if you try to, you know, I've been guilty of this, Siege. You know, I've done a lot of business in Hong Kong. I've done, you know, business in Shanghai. The thing is this, man. If you were to categorize China with Western categorizations, it just doesn't fit. Parts of it fit, but then other parts don't. You get what I'm saying? It's like
absolutely,
it's weird. It's like its own thing. Mm-hmm. Like it's a mutant. China's a mutant. It has like aspects of mercantilism, capitalism, socialism, communism, and it's a hodgepodge. And it's very weird. Yeah, I would say in a lot of degrees, not very efficient in some regards, and actually in a lot of regards, but somehow it freaking works in getting its economy to grow at over 6% per year every year. So it's interesting to see this also because I think it also helps that they're, you know, pretty homogeneous amongst their population. They all share a similar culture, similar language. You know, and there's no real major ethnic groups in China except for, you know, you have the Han Chinese, you have the Cantonese, you have the Uyghurs, and, you know, apart from that, it's pretty homogeneous. With Western educated economists embedded in China's administration, has China retained the collective the collective nous to understand the flaws, limitations, and dangers of the West fiat money system? Can she build on the benefits of sound money approach, which led her to accumulate gold and to encourage her citizens? I have a phone call that's calling me. I don't know. Oh, geez, look, I'm getting a call from Nigeria, Siege. Uh-oh. Look at this. 234-905-095-6969. I think it's a Nigerian prince. He's telling me that he has some funds locked up in a bank somewhere in Nigeria, and that if I give him my bank account number, he will be most assuredly willing to ingratiate me with tens of millions of dollars. I think that's why they're calling me for. Crazy. Just literally had a call from Nigeria. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
It's either that or some Bitcoin deal from some Nigerian prince. Yes. Listen to me now. Listen, you mother sucker. Mother sucker, you listen now. I will show you the way. I have Bitcoin for you. So, following Mao Zedong's death in 1976, Chinese leadership faced a primal decision over destiny. Blah, 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 blah. Alistair's article goes, blah, 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 blah. The truth is unknown, but we can be sure that gold has become a strategic asset for China and its people. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever, Alistair. Don't care. All right, here's the deal. What is this rambling article about a guy who somewhat understands China and kind of works in the gold industry? What is this guy, Alistair McLeod, who too many people give way too much credit for? Another academian, again, who has theory but no practical. What does this have to do with anything? Well, here's the deal, folks. It's simple. If you've been listening to Jim Willie for a while, if you've been listening to the Ape, you've been listening to London Paul for a while, you already know the deal. If you've been following the Rebel Trinity, you already know the deal. China's been accumulating gold. Why? Because they understand It is the offset to their bubble. They knew they were blowing a bubble. It didn't catch them by surprise. They know that they too have to play the electronic duct tape game when it comes to their economy. Certain aspects of their economy is going to need some electronic duct tape. Certain aspects of their economy is going to need governmental intervention, which, yes, causes the picks of winners and losers, and yes, causes market distortions and price discovery problems and all sorts of asset devaluation and valuation to begin with. All sorts of shenanigans, but at the end of the day, they understand that whatever they're building right now is to create what? Infrastructure. Something the country never really had. So everything they've ever built up was to create the rudimentary scaffolding and foundations needed to transact and to transition into what will become the resurgence of gold and gold trade settlement and the return to sound money. Isn't it amazing that the march to sound money does not come from the West? And isn't it ironic that that is going to be a country, a former communist country, that's leading the march in sound fiscal policy? Isn't that kind of crazy? That we're returning to a gold standard, and I'm not saying it's going to be the classical gold standard from 1812 to 19, from 1870 to 1911. I'm not talking about that classical gold standard, which is the greatest economic boom in human history. But I'm talking about having an economic system where some sort of real transparency can prevail. Number one. Number two, the paper fraud, the criminal fraud of Wall Street banks and the city of London come to an end. We're seeing a resurgence in that. And they knew in order to get to that level, they're going to have to blow some bubbles. But they also understand that having hard assets, not just in gold, folks, but strategic metals, rare earth minerals, all these other things, these come in handy. They come in handy because they are the very things that will insulate you when the bubble bursts. So in other words, they're not putting in electronic duct tape. They're putting in the cast, the braces, the head wrap, the bandages, the sutures, the stitches, so that when the patient that goes through this traumatic event, his body's not going to fall apart. It's going to be held together. Do you get what I'm saying? Whereas what we've been doing is just putting duct tape. We're just putting little tiny bandages, little butterfly stitches all over the place. When the patient is bleeding out, when the very lifeblood and liquidity is being bled out, there's a bloodletting happening, and it's American blood. It's American monetary fluids and blood that are on the operating table, and we're losing it fast. We don't have a gold strategy. We don't have it. I'm hoping to God that we can get some sort of an infrastructure strategy going. We can get something going to stimulate the economy. We can get something going. And I understand what Trump's trying to do, get us out of the petrodollar, number one. Number two, I get what he's trying to do in the sense of making the new American century, the new American monetary system centered around technology and energy. But it has to be done very soon. Our planners, those who are working behind the scenes in our country, are kind of doing the same thing. They are way behind the Chinese. We're way behind the Chinese. So they have to play to their strengths. And what are the strengths of America's economy? It's energy. And we still have a slight technical edge when we're not manufacturing BS and selling it to the world. We do have a slight technological edge that we can bring to the forefront. These are the ways that we can move forward. These are the ways we can be effective in this global game of thrones. And then we too can have a seat at the table. We too can negotiate deals. We too can enter the multipolar world. The multipolar world is here. It's being birthed in front of you. It is not a question. It is not a conspiracy theory. It's not some sort of doubt or anything. It is a reality, folks. It is an absolute reality. And that is why China is having gold. That is why and what they're doing, And speaking of the multipolar world siege, there's some good news that seems to be erupting from the sandbox, specifically the House of Saud. What's going on over there? the House of Saud?
Well, it's interesting to watch this all being played out. We know that that the CIA has issued a statement condemning, saying that MBS is guilty of the assassination of Khashoggi, whatever his name is.
Khashoggi. You are the worst with names. Do you know that, Carlos Jesus?
But now we're learning that potentially, that there may be a Saudi-backed Yemen government peace talks that was brokered with the UN, that apparently MBS at one time was a little bit hesitant about accepting these terms. However, I think in light of the human tragedy that's occurring and the constant reporting on it, I think that they have no choice but to come to the tables in regards to meeting with the Houthis to reach some type of a peace period until they can have these initial negotiations. They have not had any particular conversations like this since they met with the Yemeni parties in Kuwait in 2016. So let's hope this continues. Now, there is some reporting, and I'm not going to go over it a whole lot because I'm not sure as far as the timing, but there was some speculations that perhaps there's already been some airstrikes from the Saudis even after this initial conversations. But I can't imagine behind the scenes what is particular happening with the political pressure on the inside of the kingdom on MBS with the royal family, and now also the deep state. So it's going to be interesting to see how the administration navigates through this. It's going to have to be very carefully in determining, MBS is, good guy, bad guy. What's your take on it, V?
The whole entire death of Khashoggi is, if you go over to the Gadfly, I did a nice, beautiful expose on that whole entire thing, breaking it down breaking it down again. But the whole entire thing is this: something's happened, and I think this is a good thing. I have a sense, and this is weird, Siege. I can't verify it yet, but my gut instinct tells me, okay. Yemen's Saudi-backed government confirmed it will participate in United Nations sponsored peace talks in Sweden. The country's official news agency reported Monday. Government headed by exiled President Abu Rabu. Okay. President Abu Rabu Mansour Hadi. Say that real fast. Is the first of the warring Yemeni groups to publicly commit to peace talks, spearheaded by the UN Yemen envoy. Okay, let's look at this situation. Let's take a step back and look at the 30,000 foot view of this entire situation. I'm not going to spoil it for you as to what I really think is going on, and what I think some of the intel coming out of the whole Khashoggi thing is pointing towards what the entire game is with that Khashoggi, with CNN, CIA, and all that other BS. But the Saudi-led peace talks over here with the Yemeni leaders, it's going to be a good thing. They're willing to meet in Sweden. They're willing to talk it off. I have a feeling, folks, that the people that were behind the scenes to broker this, I believe it was Vladimir Putin. I believe without a doubt Donald J. Trump was involved. And I know for a fact that President Xi Jinping has been involved. The reason is, I remember, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago when this whole Yemeni thing started, I remember writing an article about China's moves in the Middle East. And most people don't know, and I detailed this very clearly. China's been in Yemen since 1954. Yemen has been China's been Yemen's number one trading partner for the longest time. And when, if you remember, 3 years ago or so, 2-3 years ago, when this whole Yemeni thing started, it was Chinese warships that came and picked up Chinese personnel and workers from Yemen. I don't know if some of you will remember that image of a whole bunch of Chinese nationals boarding their Navy ships and so happy and elated to be rescued before the whole entire war started in Yemen. It was another Syria redux, so to speak. So this peace in Yemen, you see the Saudi attempt, whatever led him or tricked him or convinced him or showed him or whatever made him think it was a good idea or whatever to get involved in Yemen. You see, there was a double failure here for the Saudis. I'm going to. Oh, I'm starting to stutter like Barack Obama. I. Hold on. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to detail for you the two failures of Saudi Arabia. Two things that they really failed on, and what was promised to them. Do not be mistaken for 1 second, 1 millisecond. What is happening in the Middle East, folks, is a resource war. It is an energy war. I've said it a billion times. It has been confirmed by sources close to the House of Saud, who has spoken to me that the Saudi Arabians are indeed running out of oil. That their largest well, discovered in 1958, the Ghawar well, one of the largest of the 6 they have, is pumping more water than oil. It's a problem. It's a problem. Saudi Arabia, for since its inception, has been a one-trick pony. And now it's running out of the tricks. It can no longer get oil out of the ground at the prices and the cost that it used to be able to extract oil with. Saudi Arabia, folks, is not the largest oil supplier in the world. It's not. They can do it cheaper than anybody else, and their oil is of better quality than anybody else's. It's sweet crude. Very little refining needs to take place, and it's extremely easy to get. I mean, talk about a unicorn oil deal or an oil well. The freaking Saudis had it, and they've had it since the entire Saudi revolt, where the House of Saud, not a revolt, but the revolution where the House of Saud took over the entire Arabian Peninsula. Saudi Arabia can sustain $15 a barrel oil. They can do it. It ain't healthy for large sectors of their economy. It ain't healthy for large quadrants of their country. There will be poverty and whatnot, but they can sustain it. They can sustain $12 a barrel. They like 80, and I've said that a billion times. And when I talked about the oil price back in July of 2016 or 15, when I said it's going to take a dive, we're going below 50, we're going to probably see 39 or 40 bucks oil, and it happened the following fall. And I said again months ago that oil price is going to pop up, then it's going to start popping down again, because why? We have a glut still in supplies. And it happens. Not that I'm a prophet, I'm just good at crunching data. So the Saudis, understanding that they're running out of energy, gets into a deal with their Qatari cousins. And then the Qataris, who have the largest LNG refined in the Middle East, says, okay, Saudi Arabia, let's go with our American cohorts here and have the Americans help us in developing a pipeline. First, we'll go to Syria. We'll ask Bashar al-Assad. Of course, the answer will be no. Assad will say no because Assad's in bed with the Russians, and the Russians have their own, deals set up with Syria, and they have the energy going into Europe with Ukraine. And I detailed all this, folks. Just go back and listen to some of the shows. I've detailed all this for you guys before. But that whole entire thing blows apart. The U.S. promised Saudis, yeah, we'll help you out. Just fund ISIS. We'll take care of you. Just bankroll them, launder the money through them. Heck, you could have UAE come, and UAE, which is the United Arab Emirates, largest money laundering operation on God's green earth. You could have the Emirates run some of the funding as well. You can wash the money through there. Saudi Arabia gets involved. The whole plan falls apart. Russians get involved, and you know what happens in Syria. So while that whole thing in Syria is happening, guess who also got LNG, folks? Guess who also has LNG? Yemen. Oh. Now the Saudis go after Yemen. While they're going after Yemen, the Qataris are like, yeah, we don't want to be involved with this. We're going to back out. And the Saudis are like, what? What do you mean you're backing out? You leaving us alone? And then who steps up in Yemen? Well, the banking arm of the Middle East. The equivalent of they're the equivalent of the dirty Swiss. That's the United Arab Emirates. The UAE steps in. They send, material support, logistics support, banking, financial support for some Saudi-backed rebels that they've imported from North Africa and other parts of the world to do their dirty work. That's falling apart. That's blown up in their face as well. Because who's in Yemen? Who's been supplying? People are like, where are these Houthi rebels getting these Cornet missiles? Where are they getting these Gadfly missiles? Gecko missiles. Where are they getting these Geckos and Cornets from? Are they getting it from the Russians? They're actually getting it from the Chinese. Who's bankrolling the Houthis? Who's giving? China. They stepped in a quagmire in Syria because of Russia. Why? Because they need Syria in order to move LNG. They turn towards Yemen thinking it's going to be easy pickings. It's not going to be hard. It ain't going to be hard like Syria. The Syrians actually fought back. The Russians are there. Chinese don't seem to be too much involved, even though the Chinese have been there, folks, like I said, since 1954. And all of a sudden, the Houthis fight back, and they're kicking the crap out of the Saudis. I mean, M1A1 Abrams and M1A2 Abrams, Saudi battle tanks provided by America, America's finest. They were burning like Roman candles in the desert because of Chinese-supplied Cornet and Gecko anti-tank missiles, Russian-developed, Russian-made, supplied by China. And now the Saudis like, oh yeah, it's going bad here. It's getting really bad here. What do we do? Oh, I have another brilliant idea. Let's go push on our cousins, our first cohorts who decided to go in with this whole entire resource war with us. Let's go after the Qataris. You guys remember that? Saudi Arabia had a whole blockade of Qatar. They're gonna go to war with Qatar. Remember that? For like a month.
Yep.
Everybody held their breath. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? Nothing. Trump stepped in. That whole thing got diffused. Now the Saudis can't go after Qatar. Why? Because they need LNG. Saudis can't go after Yemen. That's blown up in their face. Because why? They need LNG. They can't go after Syria. They need LNG. They're stuck. Now you have the whole Khashoggi thing, which makes the whole regime look dirty and crap. And they're literally being forced to have no other options but to go back and try to literally make oil out of magic. And all of a sudden, here's an energy supplier. What are they doing? They're cutting energy deals with Russia. They're cutting energy deals with China. I guarantee you, the day is coming, folks. The day is coming. The Saudis will cut energy deals with the Iranians. Watch. And I'm telling you right now, at that point, the world is going to lose their crap. The world's going to lose their crap. So that's what this whole entire thing is about. The Khashoggi thing is it's a psyop. It's a smear campaign. That's all it is. It's a smear campaign to make the current regime look bad. And then flying in former Saudi royal princes, in order that they come in with the intent of replacing MBS, putting MBS on the back pedal, making him very worried. All of it is done so they are boxed into a corner. How much longer do you think the Saudis can keep pumping? The Saudis are going, hey, yeah, we're gonna do we increase production, and everybody increased production. And we have a glut of oil. Now the Saudis are like, yeah, we're gonna cut back on production. Why are they cutting back on production? We need $80 oil. No, you're cutting back because you're running out. You've already burned through your sovereign wealth fund. Your Aramco IPO ain't going to go nowhere. The Saudis have their nuts in a vice right now, and they don't know what to do. You're probably going to see the potential ruin and fall of the Saudi monarchy. That potential is there. And that's what all these games, all these actions, have everything to do with that. And since we have, in light of this recent revelation of peace talks, now all of a sudden they're resuming. Is this correct, man? They're resuming attacks on the port of Hodia.
Well, that's when I said I was a little bit hesitant about covering just because of the timing of it. Because there's no time stamped on that article or no update. Where the CNN there was an updated time on it.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll skip that. Anyway, let's do this. Let's do this. Why don't we go skip right down the bottom, and let's talk about the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how Freaky Boys International and all the great work they do have categorized them. This is just beyond ridiculous.
You know, this is an article that comes to us from The Guardian, and we've had him as a guest before. He's everything but a Naziist, a right winger, and that's Gavin McInnes. Now we're learning that documents reveal that the FBI has classified the Proud Boys as an extremist group. The group is now designated with ties to white nationalism, according to the report produced by the Washington law enforcement. The FBI now classifies the far-right Proud Boys as an extremist group with ties to white nationalism, according to the document produced by Washington State law enforcement. The FBI's 2018 designation of the self-confessed Western chauvinist group as an extremist has been previously public. The Proud Boys was founded by Gavin McInnes, has insisted his group is not a white nationalist or an alt-right, but the Proud Boys have a history of misogyny and glorifying violence.
Oh my God. They like women, and
the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, whenever I put this in the deck to cover, it's kind of odd that here we have a group that's really countered for the most part most of the Antifa group, who at this point I'm not sure if they have been deemed as a terrorist or extremist group. We know the violence that they have, and obviously who is there to counter, to safeguard? And if you look at the events that unfolded at Berkeley, these freedom of speech events that took place, it was by far the Proud Boys who showed up to defend and protect free speech, not promote white supremacy or anything like that. This is just absurd.
Hey man, you think the FBI has categorized Antifa as a hate group linked to far left, fascist organizations? You think the FBI has categorized them?
I doubt it. I'm gonna look it up right now.
And you think the FBI has warned the Southwest Washington police agencies about the Antifa's role in escalating violence at events? I doubt it.
Now, this is a dated article, but it goes back to July, where a Republican lawmaker specifically asked that same question that you did, V, of the Southern Poverty Law Centers, and specifically asking them, have you done the same thing? Have you labeled Antifa as a hate group, as a terrorist organization? And apparently, the relationship was not clear whether the FBI had described the group as a well-known or an established organization of hate. And this is dated back to July, but it's kind of odd that we have a group who by far has been proponents of free speech who has out there been defending against these radicals, and now they're going to label them an extremist group. V.
Yeah. Yep. You gotta love it, bro. You gotta love it. Anyway, such stupidity, brother. Such stupidity. Meanwhile, an exceptional stand, CJ. Meanwhile, an exceptional stand has come out that the wonderful Hillary Clinton State Department, paid a $25 million bribe to the Patriarch of Constantinople to foment religious chaos in the Ukraine. Ha ha. Last month, worldwide Orthodox Christian communion was plunged into crisis by the decision of the ecumenical patriarch Bartholomew I in Constantinople to recognize as legitimate schismatic pseudo-bishops anathematized by the canonical Ukrainian Orthodox Church, which is an autonomous part of the Russian Orthodox Church. In so doing, not only has Patriarch Bartholomew besmirched the global witness of Orthodoxy's 2 millennia-old apostolic faith, he has also set the stage for religious strife in Ukraine, fratricide violence, which has already begun, and starting in July, when few were paying attention, this analyst warned about the impending dispute and how to facilitate the anti-Christian morale agenda of certain marginal, quote-unquote, Orthodox voices like Orthodoxy in Dialogue, Fordham University's Orthodox Christian Studies Center, The Wheel, blah, blah, blah. These self-professed teachers presume to challenge the morale teachings of the faith, and no one, and certainly not this analyst, would accuse Patriarch Bartholomew, most Ukrainian politicians, or even the Ukrainian schismatics of sympathizing with the advocacy of such anti-Orthodox values. And here it is. At the end of the day, it's this. Okay, at the end of the day, you have Dirty Bart. You have Dirty Bart of the Turkish Orthodox Church. And what does he do? He did some shenanigans while recognizing some saints or whatnot, which creates his religious strife. In other words, he's acting as the agent of the deep state to go ahead and foment religious strife in the Ukraine to create further chaos and bloodshed. And it was revealed that the State Department paid this so-called man of God, a man of the cloth. I mean, these guys should all be investigated. Man of the cloth, my ass. Paid $25 million. Okay, $25 million to foment that religious chaos in the Ukraine. Why are we doing this? Why isn't this Ukraine situation? Oh, well, now we can't pull out, can we? See, because Ukraine's a total failed state.
Yep.
And if we pull out of Ukraine right now, Ukraine's going to spiral into some sort of a godforsaken war zone led by warlords, narco traffickers, and human trafficking circles. That's what's going to happen. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And these are the kind of things that happen.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, these are the kind of things that happen. It is what it is. Anyway, folks, that brings us to the end of the show. There's this and much more over at the Gadfly, so I suggest you join. It's less than $10 a month, or you can pay for the whole year for less than $100. $99 for a whole year, $9.99 a month. Join the Rebel. Join us, the Rebel Alliance. Join us and make it happen for yourself. And with that being said, Siege, take it away.
I think you have the controls.
Oh, snap. I do. Wow. I got the power. I got the power. Wow. And with that being said, V, take it away. We're over and out.